All right, I think we're ready to begin with the presentation, with the webinar. So, all right, good morning, everybody, or good evening, depending on whatever you are located in the world. My name is Jose Antonio Montes. Please ignore the title that says Rodrigo Corda. He is the owner. He is the um, owner of the account, the uh, my boss. So today we're going to talk about the Sonata Switchboard, which is part of the Sonata Switch, which will include billing and recording management at the moment. So um, we're going to begin with the presentation right now. Um, First of all, what is Sonata Switchboard? Sonata Switchboard is an application through which you can monitor all the activity of your PBX at real time. This works kind of like an operator panel in which you can have different modules, we call widgets, located on your screen so you can monitor and interact with different parts of your PBX in real time, which is very helpful for operators that are attending calls and as call center supervisors that need to keep an eye on their agents. Here you can see a glimpse to what is the extensions module. You can see that the green squares are extensions that are logged in. The red ones are the extensions that are on call, and you can see that you can interact with them very easily by giving them a right click. We will talk more in depth through every widget as we go on. So the benefits of Sonata Switchboard is that it's very easy to configure. It has a very low load on your CPU, which is a disadvantage on other applications that try to do the same thing, but they are quite CPU expensive. Um, this switchboard is customizable. The interface is fully customizable to whatever you need to see on a certain time. There's different levels of security on the switchboard. You can select what a user can see, what a user can do. It's completely intuitive, very easy to use. You will get addicted on moving things around and having stuff the perfect way for you to work easily. And it's fully responsive, so it doesn't matter the screen size of your device. It is going to adapt to it. Okay, so you heard me talk about widgets. So what are widgets? They are smaller applications that execute specific tasks. And here is a list of the widgets that we currently have. So we have My Extension, which is this module over here. You can see that it looks like a soft phone, but it actually manipulates your existing phone, which is very useful for you not to be moving around on different applications, on different tabs maybe. You can see that you can execute different functions on it. We will talk more deeply on each of these widgets as we move on through the presentation. So then we have My Queues, which are the queues that you belong to. You can see how well you're doing on your queues. Then we have Extensions dash console. Why is this? Because you can modify how you display the extensions, so you can either display them as uh, extensions for a call center supervisor that needs to execute more functions that needs to see more details, or you can have a console which is useful for an operator that doesn't have to see with whom the person is talking with, and can see very specific information. Then we have the queues, um, which is a list of statistics for the queues. You can see the agents logged into the queues. Then we have the conferences. Conferences is a very visual way to see people in the conferences, people in what you can do with people in conferences. Then we have parking lots, which is another visual aid for the parking function on your PBX. Then we have QStat summary, which gives you a summary of each of the queues. Then you have queue member summary, summary of the members in the queues. Queues calls. Um, we will see more visually because I cannot seem to explain it. When you see the widget, it's very self-explanatory. It will give you a better idea and how easy it is to get the information out of every widget. Then we have the queue overview, which we have over here. You can see it's a very simple and graphic way of monitor your queue. Then we have the queue calls counter, which is very useful for call centers, the call center agents specifically, because this gives them a visual aid and a sound aid and an audio aid to know what's going on in the queues. Then we have the trunk widget, which will let you monitor each of the trunks that you want to see. All right. By the way, if you got any questions, don't be afraid to do them in the chat box below. We have a group of moderators that are part of the team helping you there. Don't hesitate to ask them any questions. All right. So with our first widget, we have My Extension. With the My Extension widget, you can manipulate the extension that is associated with the user. So whenever you select the My Extension widget, it would be associated with the actual extension of the user that you created on the switchboard. So you have many functions here. You can dial a number, transfer a call, park a call, hang up, see a call status, log into a queue, and pause a queue. You can see that over here we have a glimpse of how the widget looks like. We will look at it live during the presentation. After the presentation, you can see that you can transfer, you can park, you can hang up an active call. Here you have a dial pad, so you can dial a number. This will activate your phone, so it will automatically start the call. And if you could click the three dot icon over here, you can see that you have options to log into a queue. You can pause at a queue. You can unpause, and you can log out. So it is a very powerful tool. So you can have most of your basic needs from your phone right on the switchboard. Okay, so let's go to the next widget. Here we have My Queue. This is the module that shows all of the queues to which the extension is assigned to. Here you can only see the extensions that here you can see all the queue that your extension belongs to. If you have many queues, you will see many queues. You can see your status. If it's green, you're logged in. If it's red, you're logged out. And if it's yellow, you're paused. You can see your calls taken. Over here, you can see that this agent has taken one call here on the technical support queue. You can pause a queue if you right-click on your status. You can select pause and pause with reason. And you can also log out of a queue. You can also see how many queued calls there are available on that queue. And it's a very useful widget so the agent can monitor their performance of during the work hours. All right. Next, we have the extensions widget. This widget shows the extensions that have been configured to it. Um, they can be displayed in norm form or in summary, which is what we call console mode. Um, this is what I was talking about. That you can see the extensions here are big squares, opposed to how console looks like, which is thin lines. This is very helpful for operators, as I said earlier. Um, you can as an operator, you just want to see that if the person is on a call, if the person is available, so you can transfer a call, you can call them. But in norm form, you see that you have the extensions at bigger size, because here you can see who the person is talking with, and you can hang up their calls. You can spy on them. You can spy and whisper at them. You can barge in a call. These are the options that we have with this widget. You can also send a message. You can transfer, blind transfer and attended transfer a call. And all of this activity is supervised in real time. It's a very powerful tool for call centers and operators, and I'm sure they will appreciate how easy it is to manage this type of information. Oh, and by the way, here, I don't know, yeah, Miguel shared the link to download this presentation. My bad, I forgot to share it with you, but thank you, Miguel, for sharing that. So that way you can see with a better resolution um, the presentation. All right. Then we have queues. Here on queues, you can see the queues that were selected at the moment the widget was placed. When you create this widget for your screen, you can select which queues you want to monitor with that widget. And here you can see that you can log in, log out a certain person and certain agent from a queue. You can pause with or without a reason. You can see a queue member count and agent status. So here we have a glimpse on how the widget looks like. You can see that here you can pause an agent with or without a reason. And with reasons, it's very helpful whenever you're trying to get the statistics out of the performance of your queue. You can see the actual reason why a person paused or unpaused, and you can get reports by pause reasons, and you can also create a custom pause reason over here. Also, as an administrator, you can create pause reasons. For example, here you can see launch meeting, bathroom and away, but how about a pause for a cup of coffee or a cup of tea? So you can add that as well. Then we have conferences. And this widget shows the conferences that were selected at the moment of placement. This is the same situation that whenever you create this widget, you will select which conferences you want to monitor. You can see over here we have a glimpse on what we can do with this widget. We can kick a member, we can mute a member's microphone, and we can see the conference members. As I said earlier, this is a great visual aid to monitor how your conference is doing. because normally whenever you do a conference, you just listen to cues on your phone, and then you don't see anything else. You cannot see who's still in the conference unless you program into to for the PBX to tell you some person left. And here you can visually see the people that are on the conferences and interact with the people on the conferences. You can kick out a person that doesn't need to be in the conference anymore, and you can mute them whenever they're being too noisy. So they can only speak when you want them to speak. All right. Then we have parking lots. Parking lots, just like conferences, it's another great visual aid. So you can see all the parking lots that were selected at the moment of placement, as just in the other cases, just like in the other cases. Um, what you can do with this widget is that you can park a call, you can pick up a call, and see parking status. So here you can see a glimpse of what the widget looks like. You can see that we have a call parked on the default parking, and we can right click it and pick it up whenever we need. This is very useful because what's traditionally done is that you hear the PBX tell you call parked at a certain parking spot, and you have to either remember the parking number or write it down. So if you have many park calls, it can be a little bit of a hassle. So here you can see a visually that see visually that you can pick up any park calls that are in there. It's actually like a parking lot with instead of cars, you can see the calls parked in there. All right. Afterwards, we got the Q stats summary. What's the Q stats summary? It's the widgets when we can see a summary of the queue selected. It's pretty self-explanatory. So here we can see how the widget looks like. And the information it portrays is very useful information that we usually need a quick catch of. So we can see the queue number and name. We can see the ring strategy. We can see the logged in members, available members. We can see the queued calls, completed calls, abandoned calls, service level, longest hold time, and talk time. You can see everything is displayed nice and neatly on rows, so you can catch a quick glimpse on how your queue performance is doing, and you can easily verify that your agents are working well. You can see, for example, your service level really easily, and see that you are doing okay. In this case of the queue that we have here, the service level is 0, so it's not doing any good. But that way I know how they are doing, and I can quickly monitor all my agents and tell them, hey, get back to work. Afterwards, we have the queue member summary. These widgets, we can see the status of the agents selected at the moment of placement. Queue member summary is one widget per queue. Why? Because we can see all of the members, and we can see a little bit more information of how the agent is doing in that queue. We can see the member name. We can see their status, which will tell us if they're logged in, logged out, or at a pause. We can see if they're in a call. It will actually, yes, it's in a call. We can see how many calls that agent has taken, and we can see a pause reason if they are at pause. It helps you to see, for example, we can see Freddie was at a coffee break, or if Oscar was at the bathroom in this particular moment, and we can manage, hey, you've been in the bathroom way too long, get back to work. And it's very easy, very intuitive, very even a very fun way to see this information all in one place. Afterwards, we have queued calls. Um, Here, you can see all the calls that are currently in queue. As you can see here, we wrote down queued call list. You're able to pick up a call, no matter the queue position. You have the possibility to be of being able to transfer the call to an agent, no matter the queue position. This, no matter the queue position, is very critical because whenever you take a call or transfer a call, it will appear on the statistics as an abandoned call. We're working on changing this, but that's on the level of queue statistics. We are seeing how we can interpret this type of um, actions of taking the call, transferring the call. We are trying to see how we can manage that situation. But if, for example, you're seeing that in a queued call, it's a recurring callee, caller, in any case, you can transfer that call directly to the agent that has been dealing with that person. So you have more control over your queues, which is one of the great things of these widgets. You actually feel more control over how your calls are getting in and how they are being distributed to your agents. You can be more specific to how you want the call to be attended. All right, we move on to queue overview. This widget shows the stats of a specific queue, and we can see the following. We can see the service level in percentage and in graph form, which is our SLA. Over here, you can see that right now. Well, right now it's at 0%, um, but you can see that it's very graphic way of seeing your SLA quickly. You can see your completed calls, abandoned calls. What is your SLA target? Um, which shows you the time in seconds in which the call must be answered. Here we have 0 because we want to be the most efficient call center in the world, but currently we're not. We have waiting calls in queues in the queue. We can see how many calls are waiting currently in the queue. We can see the longest hold time, longest hold call over here, and we can see how many logged in members there are and how many available members we have. Um, it's a very neat tool. Another great visual aid to see the performance of your queue. To that way you can have your statistics quite on hand. This is very useful, especially for supervisors who need to have information at hand to manage their call center. It's one per queue again because all of this information is very specific. Okay, so we go to the next widget, which is the queue counter. This is very helpful, as I said, for agents. You can place this queue counter on a big television or projector, and your agents will have this big boxes telling them how many calls are in the queue, and also see some information of how many calls have been abandoned in the queue and how many calls have been completed. Um, it also makes a little chime whenever a call enters to the queue, and also has text to speech, which can be managed through the text to speech software on your computer. Uh, it's very helpful to tell them like, hey, there's a new call on queue of technical support queue, and it helps them um, get faster through their calls and try to be more efficient, trying to solve as many calls as possible and in the least amount of time, so they can use um, their time more efficiently. Then we got the trunks queue, and here this widget shows the calls that are in the trunk. In the case of Daddy, we can see the number of channels, channel groups that there are in that Daddy trunk. In SIP trunks, IX trunks, we cannot determine the amount of channels. That's why we can only see the number of active calls in any type of trunks. And we can see the list of active calls with the possibility of freeing a channel by right-clicking in the channel. What do I mean with freeing the channel? Because sometimes, especially in FXOs and analog trunks, um, you can see that the channel has been up in a call for 5 hours, 4 hours, and nobody's actually talking through the that trunk. Usually, it's maybe because the telephone company didn't send the correct tones to end the call channel, and basically free that channel for another call and have your bill be a little bit more comprehensive. You can see here that we have a call on a trunk. You can see how the runtime of that call. Here you can see a small number in this gray dot, which tells you how many calls are getting through that trunk. You can see that the they are green whenever they are free completely, and red whenever there's a call in place. It's a very intuitive, very nice way to see how your calls are getting in and out. Then finally, we have layouts. Well, not we still have a couple of slides, one more slide, but what are layouts? Layouts is like the big thing. Is uh, how your widgets are displayed on your screen. You can create multiple layouts. You can share a layout with multiple users. You can edit a layout in real time, and the layout obviously can contain multiple widgets, which makes the whole interface completely customizable. So let's say that you here, for example, we have the My Extension widget, we have the Extensions widget, Trunks widget, all arranged in a specific way that we can customize, we can move them around. It's even quite fun and addictive to start getting your widgets in the right place, that you can say that this is the perfect place where my extension widget will go. So I can easily see it. I can easily access it with not too much mouse movement. You can select what extensions to see, and you can change the size of the widget so it can be all symmetrical. You can play around with how your widgets look around in the screen, and it will look the perfect way at a personal level. So you can have it your way. Well, that's a slogan for a burger company. Well, you can share your layouts with multiple users, which means that if you create a layout that you think it's perfect for your whole team, you can share it with them so that you can all have the same layout. And all of these layouts can be edited at real time. So that means that you can change them on position without having to pause what you're seeing on the widgets. You can also make a permanent change at editor mode, where you can move them around and then save your layout, and you can have the layout changed permanently. We will see this in a moment when we see the live performance of the Sonata Switchboard working on a real workstation. Now, we will talk about security. And in the Sonata Switchboard, you can create multiple roles to limit the actions of different users. Some of the options you can limit here are many options, what they can see on the menu, um, what they um, what they can do on the menu. You can limit the actions they can do on the extensions widget, on the queues widget, parking lots, conferences, and trunks that they can access. Uh, you can limit the actions in each of the widgets, for example, hang up, spy, transfer, and you can limit if they can share the layouts with multiple users, etc. You can actually make ha, guide the user to how you want them to use the application, which is very useful for so some users cannot modify a certain layout because you need them to have the layout that way. For example, the agents, you don't want them to start adding the trunks widget. You don't want them to start adding the conference widget, which they don't have anything to do with, so they cannot manipulate anything on that widget. You can also limit if they can transfer a call if you don't need them to transfer, or you can uh, make them see certain information that you just want them to see but not interact with. All right. So, any questions? Any questions at this moment? You can all ask anything. Well, we can see that you have been asking questions to Miguel. Okay, Rafael, hello, hello. So no questions at this moment. Shall we proceed to the interface? Okay. Is it possible to translate to other languages? Well, I believe that at this moment it is available in English, but I believe it's possible. Yes, Miguel says it's possible. Yeah, it will come in various languages, so it can be available in your local language. Compared to FOP2 um, versus Aster Switchboard. Well, I have experience with FOP2. With Aster Switchboard, I don't know that switchboard, um, but I can compare FOP2 with our switchboard. Um, I believe that ours is quite intuitive on the way you can modify the information that you need. It's a very elegant and very compatible um, version of a switchboard. Our switchboard is very easy to use, very easy to get into. It doesn't have a very steep learning curve. You actually learn a lot just by clicking around and modifying the information on widgets. And it's a very low CPU intensive application again. It's very smooth the way it works. It simply works. and it's a very elegant switchboard. Okay. Any more questions? Do we have any more questions? I believe there's a delay. Um, so I'm just gonna wait a couple of seconds to see if you have any more questions to ask. We have people from all over the world, so maybe there's a delay from my video and audio to reach them. See you on the Windows Networks client. No, no, I believe not. Not there's no need to have admin privileges to run it. Um, it is fully integrated with the PBX, so there's no need to to run anything locally. It's completely web based, so there's there shouldn't be such a problem with Sonata Switchboard. Yeah, and Miguel confirms it. He's one of the head developers, so trust him. He knows everything about the application. No problem, Ernest. So, any more questions? Take your time. I'm not rushing you. You can ask me uh, whatever you want. How open is it for us resellers? Um, well, right now it's marketed through the store at but it's gonna be marketed on a store. But we do work with resellers, so we can we will see how that's managed. You can see Miguel says send you give you an email with who you can contact because we do work with resellers and we have actually quite a healthy relationship with them. We try to be um, as honest as possible we can with our resellers. Let's see. Any more questions? Come on. I have. If you have a questions, we got an answer. It's certainly not 42. All right. So I guess we're getting short on time. So you can still ask questions in the chat. Um, um, we will be sure that they get answered in there. I'm just gonna continue to the interface. So let me share you my screen. I'm just preparing the screen share. Let me minimize this. All right, so can everyone confirm that you can see my screen? Okay. All right then. So first, let's log into the switchboard. I put in admin and my super secret password, which is totally not password. Okay, sign in. There you go. This is the default layout that we have Sonata Switchboard. You can see that we have the extensions module over here. You can see that there's some gray extensions. That means that those are extensions that are not connected. You can see that we have the queues um, widget over here. We can see that I am the best agent in the world because I'm always connected to the queue. See, Jose Desk. We have the conference widget over here. Oh, you can see that one of the uh, logged off extensions just went up. You can see that it's actually in real time that we have all of these widgets running on. Here we have the parking lot. Okay, so this is the default. Oh, he's making a call. You can see that the icon starts to shake and turns yellow when a call is being done, and when a call is active, it actually turns red. So we can see that they are busy. All right. This is the default layout, but as we said, that you can create your own layouts. So, for example, here I have the Empire layout, and here we can see some information that I have arranged here that I will need. For example, you can see we have the extensions widget again. I can right click and call this extension. I will do that, and I just get a call on my phone, and then the call starts being placed. And I don't know if you can hear it, but the call is now answered. And I can just right click it here. You can see all the options that I can perform. I can spy whisper, hang up, blind transfer, attended transfer, and barge in. So right now I'm gonna hang up because I don't actually want to talk with this person on the phone right now. And okay, so next we have the conference widget. You can see that I can call this conference room. Let me call the other conference room, having some technical difficulties, which were to be expected. I'm using a cell phone. Forgot to delete the other number. Well, I forgot the ping number. Oh, but we can see that one of my members is currently on the conference right now, and now apparently I finally got to log in. So you can see that we're both on the conference, and we can, for example, I want to mute myself because I'm not actually speaking to the conference, and I can kick my partner out of the conference, and I can kick myself too. And as you can see, the extensions were freed. This will take a couple of seconds to update. So let's move on. We can see the queues. Um, I have the all queues. I only have one queue in here, but you can see that I can remove a member. For example, right, let's remove myself. But I actually want to continue the presentation, so I can click on this gear icon over here, and I can actually add a member. And you can see all of three members that are available for this queue. I can add myself, and I'm back in. I can also pause and unpause. I can pause with a reason. Here you can see some pauses that I have configured. This is quite embarrassing, but I was playing around, and one of the pause reasons is crying. Don't pay attention to that. I'm gonna pause for a coffee. Um, I can unpause again, and you can see that it's very interactive, very intuitive way to dealing with queue management. This is a very useful widget. Here you can see my extension. For example, if I place a call, I am calling the local time. That is an active call right now. So if I click on the active call, I can transfer the call, I can park the call, I can hang up, and also, um, for example, I want to hang up. I don't want to listen to the time right now. You can generate calls if you have it permitted on your user account. And it's a very useful widget to manipulate your extension. Then we have stats. So here I can see the stats on my support queue. You can see that I have the round robin ordered ring strategy. I can see how many logged members there are. For example, I will add a member here. Let's add Antonio Desk. Now you can see over here it immediately changed to logged in members. We have two. I'm gonna put myself on pause. So now our available members went down to one. So we can see that of two logged in members, only one member is available to attend calls at the moment. You can see how many queued calls there are, how many calls have been completed, how many abandoned calls there have been, your service level, your longest hold time, the hold time. Okay.
You have a new queue called on support queue.
You can see that a new call has entered the support queue, and that call was just ended. You can see how long the talk time has been on this particular queue, and it's a very neat information to have at hand whenever you want to manage your queues. You can also see here that I have the queue stat summary widget. This one is for my support. You can see more graphically your information in a smaller space. Especially if you have a lot of queues, you will need to have your information more compact. And this helps you because here you can see the SLA in percentage and in graph form, just as we saw in the presentation. You can see the completed call, the abandoned calls, waiting calls, longest hold call, login members, and available members. So I'm going to remove myself of the pause, and I'm going to be available again. Here we have the trunk widget. It's very useful. For example, here I have many FXOs, connected FXOs, analog trunks. Here you can see the channels that I have connected, the channel group. So, for example, if I place a call, you can see that I took channel 6 to place this call, and I can right-click it and hang up. And now my phone just hung up. Here I have here you can see that we have an IX trunk. We can see a SIP trunk. In this ones, we cannot determine the number of channels on them. But if a call were placed on this trunk, you can see that a number will appear on this trunk telling you the active call that is on that trunk specifically. Right now we have no calls being placed on any of the other channels of the other trunks, so they're green, ready to go. What you heard earlier when the another queue call started, um, you heard a chime and a text to speech message, which was generated by the queue call number, queue call counter. Um, I'm not liking how it looks on this layout. So how about we create a new one so we can see this information that we want more easily? So what we can do is that we go to this screen icon on the top right corner, and here you can see I could edit this. Let's edit this layout first before we create a new one. So right now we're in permanent edit mode. So whatever changes we do over here are gonna we could save them permanently for this layout. For example, I don't want to see this parking lot, and I will delete the queue call counter because that's not needed on this layout. It actually doesn't fit with this layout. At least I feel that it doesn't fit. So I just deleted those widgets. So I hit update. It asks me to add a description to this layout. I already called it the Empire, and it's let's hit finish and exit. And now we have our layout modified, and this is how it looks now. But as I told you, I want to create a new layout so I can display the queue call counter better. So I hit the screen icon again, and then I go to new, and I create a new layout. So here's my layout. It's looking quite dull at the moment. So let's add some widgets. So if I click the bottom left corner over here, you can see that it says add widget. We click it and we get this drop down menu. Here we can select any of the widgets that we mentioned earlier. So what I'm looking for is the queue calls counter. And here I can select the queues that I actually want in this counter. So I actually have two created, and I'm going to select both of them. And this will be um, queues for agents. And now we can create. And you can see here we have the widget. It's a little bit small at the moment, but as I told you, you can modify the size of the widget to whatever size you need. So I'm gonna make this bigger. I think that's a fair size. You can see the both of the queues in there. Right now it's 0 because I'm in edit mode, permanent edit mode. That be it. You can see that we have more widgets that we can add. Let's add the queued calls. And as I told you, is this widget is one widget per queue because we want to see the calls listed in a certain queue. So we can put here support in Spanish, create. Right now there's nothing in there. Don't worry, it's just part of the edit mode. Let's add the another um, queue. Whoops, sorry, I selected the wrong one. That's no problem right now. Let's add the queue overview, and this one will be for the other queue. We'll select service, and this will be service, and we create. Okay, not working right now. Um, Technical difficulties. They are expected. Okay, service and create. There we go. We have another widget. So as you can see, right now they don't fit well, but that's no problem. I can change the size, and it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. We're getting there. I just want to add a Q stat summary, so I can see a very nice detailed summary of my Qs. So this will be uh, my Qs. No, I'm gonna call it just Qs again. Qs. Create, and here we can see some nice detailed information in summary form, so we can see it very easily. I made it a little bit smaller. So let's add two more widgets, which will be, let's say, uh, let's add the extensions. Here we can select which extensions we want to actually see in here. So let's select Antonio Desk, Jose Desk, and Edwin Desk. Here we can say my minions. We can name it whatever we want. We can actually just call them agents. We can select if we want it in console mode or in norm form mode. Um, we can also select to hide unregistered extensions. Um, that's quite useful whenever you just add a bunch of extensions and you just want to see the ones that are registered, so they don't clutter the space. You let's add a parking. Uh, just update once more just to be sure, and then exit. And there we have it. Here we have the. Wait, what happened? We still need to change to that layout. So we click the screen icon once more, and we can select the layout that we just created. There you go. And here we have our layout all working, and it's looking pretty good. So we can share this layout with other users. So we can select to share or unshare it. So I'm gonna add to this layout. I want to share it with Antonio Montes. He's actually my dad. That's why we're called almost the same. We can share, and you have successfully shared the layout with that user. So right now, for example, if I put a call to the service queue, wait, I'm just gonna put myself in pause on the queue. Wait, where can I do it? I'll just add a widget for it. So um, let's see, edit, and I'm gonna add a widget just so I can put myself on pause because I'm going to generate the call myself, and I don't want the call to ring um, on my extension. So let's see, queue members summary, and I'm gonna select support. We want to be support, create, and I'm gonna select my put my status. Wait, no, here I can only see that. That doesn't work for me, so I can just delete it and I can add another widget. So we can use the um, let's see. Oh, just gonna place the call. See?
You have a new queue called on service queue.
Okay. So right now, I have the queue, the queued call over here, and as you can see over here, that in service, I now have the calling queue, so I can easily take the call. That's myself, but I can transfer the call. So I will hit transfer, and I will select to which extension I want to transfer it. Well, it automatically transferred to um, it transferred to the other member on the queue. So you can see there that we have the active calls. We can see that we have um, the call is now no longer available on the service queue call counter or the service counter. So I'm just gonna hang up the call here. There you go. And that's just a glimpse on how the Sonata switchboard works. Do we have uh, do we have any more questions? Um, do you have any more questions? My suggestion is to add an OK button to transfer. That way you make sure that you did not misclick. Thank you, Ernest, for that suggestion. All right. Do we have any more questions from other participants? Well, we can see that we took um, quite a time today, but as you can see, this is a very powerful application, very fun to use, easy to use, and quite easily to get into this application. It's a very intuitive um, way to manage all of your people, manage all of your um, agents, call centers, or as an operator, and you can, or as a user. In fact, since you can have access to certain widgets that are um, available. Let's see. Can those modules be sold separately, billing recordings? Yes. They are, as Miguel says there, they are different software. Each one has its own price. They are different applications. They are all part of the Sonata suite, but each of them are separate. You don't. It's not the a whole package. It's different applications. Um, Sonata Suite billing should be next week, actually. Hopefully, you will receive your invitation and you will assist. We will be talking about Sonata Suite billing. It's quite a very. I know I'm saying this a lot today, but it's a very powerful application for your billing solution. It's very customizable, very easy to use. We also have the Sonata Suite recordings. We will be talking about that later in a later date. It's a very useful tool to manage your recordings and in your PBX. Yeah, it's not how you record; it's how you manage your recordings. Um, how you deal with finding your recordings, how you deal with um, how you deal with what recordings do and how you deal with the space they take on your PBX. It's managing all the calls that are already recorded. It's not an application that lets you record a call per se, but it's applications that lets you manage what you already have recorded. It's very useful. I use it quite a lot um, with service recordings. Yep, Miguel is giving you more information about it on how on that you have to enable your recording, and that those are the recordings that you actually manage with Sonata Switch recordings. But we will get more in depth on that application in a later date. All right, more Q&A time. Um, any plans to open source Umbitel? Oh well, Umbitel is actually getting um, a new image in the next process of Umbitel. It's actually changing its name to Vital PBX on the next version. It will be open source, and I can assure you that um, you will enjoy the software. Actually, the whole Sonata suite will come as part of the Vital PBX um, package as a free. Each of the applications as a free demo. For example, you can get Sonata Suite as a free demo, which will only limit the number of widgets that you can have on a layout, and you can only have one layout. But um, you can buy a license one time. It's a one-time license. You don't have to. It's not an annual license, so you can have access to all of the features that we talked about today. Each of these applications will come um, in a demo way, so you can try it out. The demo versions will be limited, but once you buy a full license, and it's just one-time purchase for a license per system, so you don't have to continue paying annually and to get access to all of the features that these programs give you. Oh, updating modules in Sonata is quite easy. I'll show you right now. I'll show you the screen again. Share my screen again. So let me share my browser once more. Okay, let me minimize this. And updating is quite easily. You just have to go to your user icon on the top right corner. Here you can see profile about, and also a check for updates button. This is a very easy way to update. Let's see if I click it right now. Then there are no updates available at this moment. Currently on the latest version that we have right now, version 1.0.0-4. Um, it's very easy to update your system, and once it updates, you don't have to reboot or anything. You just refresh your browser, and it automatically applies all the updated information into there. Okay, let's see any more questions? Yeah, we're planning on making the upgrade to Vital PBX quite as smooth as possible. Let's see. Any more questions? Any intrigues that you have? Show the admin part. Okay. Um, Here on the administration, you can see that you have your switchboard as the first part, but we also, as an admin, we have access to the administrator. Here we can create the users that will access the switchboard. For example, let me check on my own profile. Here you can see that we can put the name, username, password, the role, which is quite a feat, quite important part of the whole switchboard. We can we will see that after this part. We will see that we can select what layout this user enters into. We can see which assigned extension uh, is um, is assigned to this user. That way, the my extension module can work perfectly um, um, in harmony with your actual extension. You can select your language. Right now, we just have English and Spanish, but it will be available in many more languages. We can select if we want the queue sound notifications. So whenever a call enters the queue call counter, we can hear the chime or not. And if this account is active, we can actually tell that we can create an account and then make it active until we want to, or if we want to temporarily remove access to the switchboard, we can deactivate an account for a while. Then we have the roles. Here the roles. For example, let's check the administrator. What roles does an administrator have? And it's everything, but you can see what the what parts of the switchboard this user can enter. This user can share layouts. This user can see the switchboard, obviously. And in the administration tab, what can they manage? You can see the administrator can manage users, roles, settings, connection, and the licensing. Uh, Here I remove the licensing, but I actually need the licensing. Um, you can select what parts of the application you want this user to see in the roles. But also we can see the switchboard privileges that this user has. With privileges, we can select, so you can see we have check marks over here. When that check mark is selected, everything in this option is selected. But if we remove it, we can individually check. For example, in extensions, we can see which extensions we want this user to see. For example, if you have a call center supervisor, you just want that supervisor to see agents. You don't necessarily want them to see administrative extensions. Um, but I'm the administrator, so I get to see them all. Um, let's see, we have queues. You can select which queues you want to be seen. Parking lots, which parking lots you want this user to see. Conferences, which conferences you want the user to see. You see where I'm going? It's very easy to understand what these options do. So trunks, for example, we will see which trunks this user can see. But aside just from what they can see, we can manage what actions they can perform. So we can limit the actions that this user can do on the extensions. So here we can say that this user can only hang up and attend the transfer, and maybe you want this situation for an agent, for example. Let me accept and there. So queues actions, what actions do we have in the queue? We can remove member, we can pause on pause, we can add a member. Maybe you just want the user just to pause on pause. Um, in the parking actions, we get right now we currently have on park, so they can pick up that call. Maybe you don't want them to do that. You just want them to see that there are park calls. Maybe conference actions. We saw them that we it was to kick and mute unmute. Um, you can select that you can only mute a member. Uh, to that way you can limit their actions there. In queue called actions, you can take call and transfer call. Um, then we have the trunks action, and right now we currently just have hang up. But as you can see, you can very easily personalize the installation and do the and have certain users have certain privileges over and some other users have other privileges, and that way everything is as customizable as you could have. Then settings. Here you can in settings you can select the queue pause reasons. Earlier you saw that I had the reason of crying. I'm gonna remove that. That's not a reason anymore. We can add another break over here. We can add a break to uh, go to store, and you can see over here we have add go to store, and there you go. We just added another reason, and we can update, and all of the information has been saved successfully. And now this reason of go to store will be available in the pause reasons. There you go. And afterwards, we just have connection and licensing. I cannot show that because of private reasons, um, because of security reasons. I cannot show you that. But here is where you manage your connection to your PBX and your licenses. How you license your switchboard. And that should be that should be it for now. Any more questions? Do we have any more questions, or are we good? It has been a long webinar, so I thank everyone that has stayed with me this whole time. I tried to explain it as um, easily as I could. Um, what about the price? Well, the price. Let me show you again. Let me load. As you know, as I already told you, that Vital PBX will be the next version of Ombutel, and we got vitalpbx.org, and here you can see, for example, the store, and here we have licenses. For example, here we have Switchboard, and this is a one-time purchase. You don't have there's no annual fees, and here on the side you can see other programs that we will be talking about in a later date, and it's a very simple licensing way because we don't want to start uh, building up on stuff. We just want it to be simple, one-time purchase, and you have unlimited access to the all the features. There's no only the demo version is limited, but the licensed version is fully to it's unlimited to all the options that you saw today. Site is vitalpbx.org. So we can see that we're moving quite at a good pace to the feature of Ombutel, and you can see that these are great features that you can have on your um, on your system. Do you still plan to offer the free license to the first 21st participants? Let's hear from Miguel how we're doing on that. And there you go. First 20 participants will get a free license to the Sonata Suite Switchboard. So you can implement it on your business, so you can try it out and see all the full features. You can play around with all the widgets, just as I did today, without any limitations. We'll send them to you soon. So I'm glad that most of you have stayed with me during this almost hour and a half webinar. I know it has been long. I know you might be tired of my voice at this moment. Um, I try to keep it as um, cinematic as possible. Um, so thank you very much for attending this webinar, and we'll see you soon. Oh, let's see. Any way to be able to demonstrate to a client? Well, we do have the demo mode, which you can see the basic features, so you can see if the client will buy it. Um, Miguel can give you more information on how to do that. But yeah, we do have the demo mode, just a little bit limited. But as you can see, there you go. There we have the demo mode. The demo.vitalpbx.org. That's the full version available online. You can show that to your client. Um, but as you can see, the price is very tempting. It's a very nice one-time purchase that you could easily purchase this application for. All right. Thank you very much, Ernest. Thank you for being quite active today. Um, I appreciate everyone that has been listening to this to this webinar once again. Thank you for staying this whole time, and we'll see you next time.